Hello everyone, and welcome to our next video for Youth Cooking School, where we are going to learn how to make veggie omelets. So just like the rest of the videos, we're going to walk through all of our ingredients and then we'll go through step by step how to make a veggie omelet. So to begin, you will need butter. You will need an onion that we're going to chop, fresh spinach, a bell pepper, shredded cheese, and anything else that you would want to put into your omelet. So that's just what this recipe calls for, but any other fillings, if you want to add meat, feel free to do so. We will also need eggs. We will need vegetable oil, and salt and pepper. And then any additional toppings you want onto your omelet. So for an example, today I have guacamole that I'm gonna put on my omelet. I have sour cream, and then I also have some salsa here that I'm going to put on my omelet. And so again, additional toppings, anything is optional that you want to add that you think would be tasty. So let's get started with the instructions. The first step is going to be get your fillings ready. So again, anything you want inside of the egg is what we are going to prep now. So for the recipe I'm going to prep my onion and my pepper and my spinach and tomatoes. And so first, for the onion, we're gonna chop it up. And the recipe here only calls for 2 tablespoons. And so this is 1 tablespoon, so you can see it's not much onion. But again, just kind of whatever you like. If you like onion a lot, feel free to add more. If you want less onion, totally fine too. And so I did want to just walk through how to safely chop this onion. There is going to be a video posted that you can watch how to safely chop food. But for the onion, I'm just going to cut this onion in half. It is pretty small, as you can see. And so I'm going to turn it on its side and just cut it in half. And so I have half my onion now, and again, it's a pretty small onion, and I think chopped up this will be about 2 tablespoons. And so I'm just going to cut it kind of like a star. And so I'm going to go like start here and then go this direction and then just kind of chop in between to make it all really fine. And so I just cut it in half. So I have 2 halves now. I'm going to cut it in half the other way. So now I have 4 slices, and now I'm going to make my star. And it is a little difficult because it all kind of fell apart, but if you can keep it together, just try to get that star motion. If not, just finely chop the onion into small pieces. And be careful cutting, make sure you go very slowly. Make sure a parent is around to make sure you are following the video for safe chopping correctly. If you're anything like me, your eyes will begin to water like I am right now. And so, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and measure this out now. So here's 1 tablespoon, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just put it on the plate for now. And then my 2nd tablespoon. I am going to set the onion kind of away from me, or else my eyes are very sensitive and they will start watering. So once you've done the onion, if you're sensitive like me, you can wash your hands. I'm gonna wash my hands really quickly or else my eyes are going to water throughout this whole video. All right, so now that we have the onion chopped, the next filling is going to be the red pepper, and you will need your cutting board again. You want to make sure that you do wash your red pepper. There's many ways to cut a red pepper, but for today, we do not need much. The recipe, let's see, does call for 1/4 of a cup, and so that is not very much at all. So I just go ahead and usually cut the stem off. And you want to take out the centerpiece, so where all the seeds are, just take that out and set it to the side of you. You can see I have a bunch of seeds in there now, so I would just go to your sink, go ahead and rinse the center out, and also if you see the white parts of this pepper, you can just try to peel those out as well. So I'm going to go to my sink and just rinse out the seeds very quickly. Okay, so now that the seeds are rinsed, I am going to just cut the pepper in half. I'm probably going to only use half of this pepper, and I'm just going to cut it in fine pieces, like strips. So I'm just going to cut it up in about that size. And again, the recipe does call for 1/4 of a pepper, but feel free to do more or less depending on how much you like peppers. I personally love peppers, so I am going to use at least 1/4 of a cup. I then am going to line up all of my strips in a line, and then I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to just slowly cut it like this so I have a bunch of small pieces of pepper. You want to hold all of the pieces in place with your other hand and cut very slowly and carefully. So you can now see on my cutting board, I have a bunch of little pieces of red pepper, and I'm going to put that on my plate. That's going to be the filling plate. So if we look back at our instructions, it says we want to get the fillings ready. So I have my onions, my peppers ready. I am also going to add spinach, but if you read the instructions, it does say to go ahead and saute the onions and pepper in butter first and then add your spinach. Spinach does not take very long to cook and get soft. Unlike peppers and onions, they do take a little longer. So this is the pan I'm going to use to put in my filling. So I'm going to put that in. Also, you're going to put your butter in. So if you look at the ingredients, it does ask for 1/2 of a tablespoon of butter. So I already had that cut up from my butter right here, and it does tell me what a teaspoon is in tablespoons, so I just did 1/2 of that, and I'm going to just set that in. So this is what my pan looks like right now. I'm going to put this on the stove now, and I'm going to keep it on, let's see, probably medium-low, just to let it cook slowly. So I do have it cooking at medium-low to just let it melt and slowly cook those veggies. So we are going to add spinach next, but I am going to wait a few minutes until those peppers and onions are a little sauteed. And you'll know that if the onion is not pure white anymore, if it's starting to look a little clear and it's a little brown, as well as the pepper, that's how you can tell it's cooking. It'll also be much tender, more tender than it was when it was raw. And so I am going to take my spatula and just kind of stir it up because the butter is going to begin to melt soon, and I want to make sure that butter can get all over the pan. All right, so that is melting. The next step is going to be step number 2. And I will go back and add the spinach like I said before. We are going to crack our 2 eggs into a mixing bowl and whisk the eggs until they become light yellow in color. And so I do just have 2 eggs here, the 2 large eggs. And I do hear my skillet starting to pop a little, so that means it is cooking, but I'm gonna go check on it just to make sure I'm not burning it. And it looks like that is all coming together. The butter is now melted, and so it's just all gonna start cooking. So to crack an egg, there's many different ways to crack an egg. I usually just tap it on the side and open it up. If you're a little nervous about it, it's okay. You can always pick out the shell if it accidentally falls in. So I'm gonna crack and then just open it like that and get everything out of the egg, set that on to a plate or a paper towel. Again, we're gonna just crack pretty firmly and then open. All that goes in. Double check you do not have any of the shells in there. You don't want to eat the shells, that will not taste very good. And it looks like I am, let's see. Looks like we are good. So we now have cracked the eggs into our mixing bowl. We're going to whisk them, so you can use a whisk, you can use a spoon, anything you have, and just start spinning it like this until it's a solid light yellow color. So you want to make sure everything is blending together. Get the edges. So it looks like it's pretty good now. Everything is mixed together and I have that light yellow color. The next step is to pour oil into an 8-inch pan. So you can use a larger pan if you want, but we want to make sure that you have enough room to cook the egg and to flip it and to make sure it does not burn in a small pan. So 8 inches or more if you can, if not, it will still work. And we are going to pour our oil in, so our vegetable oil that we have. And the measurement on this is going to be 2 tablespoons. So again, here is my tablespoon. And I'm going to go pour this into my second skillet. So I did add my vegetable oil in. You can see this is a pretty large skillet, but then you're going to just take the oil and just kind of move it all around and make sure that it covers your whole pan. If you feel you need a little more, feel free to add a little extra oil into your pan, but you do want to make sure that it's covered. Another trick is you can always take a napkin or a paper towel and kind of just help guide it around. You don't want to take away the oil, but if you need help kind of spreading it around your pan like I did just now, I simply just used this, and you can see now that oil is all over my pan. Okay, so we are on step 2 still. We pour the oil into our pan. We swirl it around to make sure it's an even coat everywhere. And we are now going to put the pan on, or the stove on medium to low heat. And so if you're using a stove that has 1 through 10, this would be probably about a 3. All right, so I have my stove now on a 3 over here. My peppers and onions I'm going to check on. So they are starting to get pretty cooked. You can see they're bubbling, and I do have some brown in there as well. And so I'm going to probably put this now on low heat, so probably like a 2 if your stove is 1 through 10, to just let this continue to cook. And I am going to now add my spinach. And so again, we just turn the other skillet on low, let that warm up for just a moment. My spinach is already cooked, and so I'm going to take the spinach. This is baby spinach, so it's pretty small, but you can go ahead and tear it up if you want. You can use the full ones. I do recommend taking off the stems of your spinach just because those can be kind of crunchy. So all you have to do is when you see the stem, just whoop, and that's it. And so I'm not going to use too much spinach. I think I grabbed probably about 8 to 10 pieces, and I just kind of teared it up in my hand here. And I'm going to now throw that into my skillet with my onions and peppers. I'm going to take my spatula and just stir that up. And that's on low, and I'm just going to keep that on low for a few minutes. So we are now going to be on step number 3. So I'm going to pour the egg into my pan, and then I am going to add my water, salt, pepper to the eggs. And so you can do it that way, or you can also add the ingredients into your bowl. And so I do recommend doing that, since that's what the instructions do say. And so we are going to take the water or milk. So if you look at the ingredients, it does say 2 tablespoons of milk or water. And so for today, I'm going to use milk. Usually milk does make the eggs a little more fluffy. And be very careful pouring. Okay. And then I'm going to add in my salt and pepper. You can add as much or as little as you want for this. So I don't like too much salt, so I'll probably just do that. I do like a little more pepper. And then you're going to stir this together. Okay, and so the instructions do say, stir until eggs feel light and airy. I stirred it with a spoon here. I whipped it earlier with my spatula. These eggs are very light. I can turn it. They're very airy, they're all mixed together. So that step is now completed. Step number 3, slowly pour the eggs into the pan. Once the eggs are in the pan, do not stir. Let them sit and start to bubble up a bit. So we're going to try to make a circle pancake with our eggs. So I'm just going to let it pour in and let it cook. And again, we are on very low heat at this point. Okay, so now that that's in my pan, I'm going to let it just sit. I am going to check on my veggies that are going to be the filling to see how they are cooking. And it actually looks like they are done. They look perfect and they smell so good. So again, this is the onion, pepper, and my spinach, and you can see here, it's all mixed together. You can see the spinach looks a lot different now. It's kind of shriveled up because it's cooked and sauteed now in that butter that we put in. So this looks really good. I am going to now put a lid over this so it just stays warm until we're finished with the omelet. So my egg is looking pretty good. It's hard for me to show you, but it looks kind of like a pancake, like we said. The next step is going to be to slowly tilt this in one direction to have kind of the runny part get to the bottom so it can cook. So I'm slowly going to just, you can see right here I kind of have a space. I'm going to just kind of move this. And I do have a little of the yolk moving that direction. I am going to put it back on the skillet so it continues to cook. But go ahead and just tilt it to have any runny pieces move to the edge. If you do not have any runny pieces, just leave it as it is on low. Okay, so we have completed step number 3 and we are done with our filling. Step number 4, when the bottom of the eggs begin to set a bit, use a spatula to push it to one edge and then tilt. So like what we just said, if you have room in your pan, you're going to just tilt it, let it fall over. If you're using a smaller pan, simply take your spatula and just kind of move it like this and tilt. And I'm solid now, I don't have any more runny egg, but then your egg will then go to this bottom part and it will cook. Okay, so repeat. So step 4, we have that down. Your egg should be pretty much cooked now. If you did drain that, let it tilt. If not, do that for a few more minutes. If you are cooked like I am, you're going to gently flip the pancake egg over using your spatula to ease it if necessary. Cook for another few seconds or until there is no uncooked egg. Do not overcook it. And so again, you should make sure the whole egg is cooked, kind of like what we just mentioned with the tilting. I have completed that. My egg is cooked. I do have it now pretty low. I have it between 1 and 2 now just because my egg's cooked. I don't want to overcook it. If you overcook an egg, it's going to be brown, crispy, or even a bit burnt and be black. That's not a good egg. So go ahead and turn it on low, low, low if you are done cooking your egg like me. The next step is going to be stir cheese and toppings together and spoon it down the center of the omelet and in a line. And so for this, I am going to take my egg, and I have a pretty good circle going here right now, and I'm going to just sprinkle cheese right down the center there, okay? For the cheese, you can put as much or as little as you would like. Anything really works there. Now I'm going to do my the veggies that we cooked up, and again, I'm just gonna put it in that line right where the cheese is. We are looking good here. So you can already see my cheese is actually melting. So I have the cheese down the center, and then I also have my peppers, my onions, and my sauteed spinach. So you can kind of see that's what it looks like right now. Again, I do have this on low. So right now, if you want to have your tomatoes on the inside and have them be a little warm, you can put them on the inside, or you can cut them up and garnish it on the top. Either one will work. Today, I'm gonna just throw them on the top for me. Okay. So step number 7, we have put all of our toppings into the center. So you can do this 2 different ways. So the easiest way is going to be taking your egg, that's a circle, and folding it in half one way. So that's going to be the easiest way. If you feel like you're up to the challenge and you want to try something a little more tricky, you're going to take both sides of the egg and fold them in. So like you have a piece of paper and you're going to fold it into 3s. You can also fold it in. For my video, I am going to just fold it in half, and then all of the stuff in the center I know will stay in there. But if you're feeling a little more risky, go ahead and take both sides and fold them in together so they're touching, to make sure you are covering everything that's in there, to make sure it kind of holds it in like a pocket. So again, I'm going to try to do this on camera so you guys can see. Okay, so I have my egg. So again, you can take both of these sides and fold it in. If you have a lot of stuff inside, more than me, I would say folding it in half is going to be the easiest. But you're going to take your spatula and just kind of loosen up the ends so that they are loose and ready to go. And then I'm just going to fold it over just like this. I'm going to take this half, and if you have a bigger spatula, this would work a little better, so I'm going to use my larger one. And you're just going to fold it in half. Like that. So it kind of looks like a little taco now. So you fold it in half. I'm gonna put it back on my skillet. I am gonna go ahead and turn my skillet off now. So both stove sides are off. So everything should be off at this point. My cheese is melted in there, so I don't have to leave it on the stove any longer. Everything looks really good. So now is the fun part, and it's time to put our toppings on. So I'm going to go ahead and put my egg on this plate and then put my toppings on, and then I'm going to enjoy my new omelet I just made. So again, this is what mine looks like. And I am going to put some guacamole on. You can put avocado on, whatever you prefer. I'm going to just garnish it with a scoop. I'm then going to garnish it with some salsa. So depending on how you like your eggs, depends on what you're going to put on it, obviously. we got a scoop of my salsa. And then I love sour cream, so I'll probably be a little more generous here with my sour cream on my egg. All right, and if you have any other toppings you want to add, you can. I'm going to add my grape tomatoes, and you can cut them in half or you can use them whole, whatever you prefer. I am going to just use them full since they are pretty small. And just set those on the side of my plate. And there you have your veggie omelet. Yum, it looks so good. Cannot wait to eat this. And again, go ahead and add anything you like to this recipe. If you love meat and you want some meat in, sausage, things like that, feel free to add it. But this is just a veggie omelet. I hope you all enjoyed this video and enjoy your yummy omelet.